6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask everyone to please rise for Pledge of Allegiance and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, if you lead us in a prayer, please.
Father, we just come to you this evening and we just ask that everything we say and do tonight would bring honor and glory to you, and that we conduct ourselves as we should. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, next up, roll call. I am present. Alderwoman Dent.
Present.
Alderman Bullerjack is absent for work. Alderman Whalen.
Present.
Alderman Letchworth.
Present.
City Administrator Burbridge.
Present.
City Clerk Kohler.
Present.
City Attorney Weber.
Present.
Public Works Director Payne. Chief of Police Chase. Finance Director Stacy Houston. See, we have our only other city staff is Miss Melissa Du Bois from Parks and Rec. All right. Need a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve tonight's
Hey,
agenda.
John, hang on a second.
Hang on.
Yeah. Let me make it that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to add that to your motion?
No.
You have to say,
You have to say it.
state it.
Why are we removing again? The airport?
Airport gate.
Okay, I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda minus the airport bid. Gate bid. I got it. We're getting a gate.
I second the motion.
I'll call for the vote. Alderman Whalen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
And Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
All right, next up is the approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. The agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I'll call for the vote. Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
Alderman Whalen.
Yes.
And Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
All right. Next item up was public comment, but we have nobody for public comment. Moving right along, we have a request for a road closure for the Sunlight Riders local chapter. Mr. Tim Thompson, who wants to, is there anybody here that wants to present that?
And we've been putting on a bike show here in Salem the last couple of years, and we've used Oak Grove, their shelter up there, and we just wanted to see if we could maybe use the block south of the courthouse to put on a bike show, August 23rd.
South of the courthouse.
That would be 4th Street, correct? 4th Street between Iron and 19?
On Iron 19,
What's the dates on it?
August 23rd, Saturday.
You know what time, maybe?
That'd be 10 to 2.
10 to 2? This time I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we have the road closed for the Sunlight Riders on August 23rd
Yeah.
from 10 to 2.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
This time I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
Alderman Whalen.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Next up is the playground tile bid approval. They're going to put you on the spot, Melissa.
That's okay.
This is the bid that we put out for the repair of the ground cover for the playground that was destroyed during the flood. We did have a park board meeting, and they voted on it. They've looked at it, and they voted on it. So this is a request for the bid in the amount of $305,488.22. They did give us two options. One was to fix it back to its original state. Then they gave us an additional bid that was to put a rubber cap on the rubber chip portion of it, which is a really large section. If we do that, that would make the entire park all-inclusive, and it would prevent it from potentially happening again, because the reason that the tiles came up was the chips ran underneath them and buckled them and pushed them apart. The park board did approve to go ahead and spend that additional funds, not knowing if FEMA would cover it or not. They're hopeful that it will, but we are working with FEMA to try to be reimbursed. But meeting with FEMA, you won't know until they say. So we have to work towards fixing the playground how we want it to be fixed. We hope that they will contribute, but in the meantime, we have to get it fixed because it's not a safe situation.
So we do have the funds in case that they
We
can't
do in
do
our
the reimbursement?
prior year
Okay.
fund balance.
Yeah, I read all the details on it. Thank you.
Aside of this, we also had to put a fence in because we couldn't keep people out of it. So if you go to the park, you'll see that there's an actual
Yeah, thank
stationary
you for
fence.
that. And keep some of the bigger kids from going over there tearing the playground up until we get it fixed.
Well, they're still tearing it down, but
Wow.
it's not as bad.
All right, this time I think that's all.
Any more questions?
I don't think. No,
No.
I think they're it.
I'm good.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
This time, do we have a motion for the playground tile bid approval?
I move to make a motion for the approval of the bid for, what the park board bid was $305,488.22. So that can be fixed.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
This time I'll call for the vote. Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
and Alderman Whalen.
Yes.
And next up is the wastewater treatment aerator power panel bid approval.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Alderman. So during the flood event, the wastewater treatment plant obviously was overran by approximately 4.5 feet of flood water that damaged a lot of different electric panels out there, two of which came to light a little bit later after the other initial damages were found. These two panels run Triton aerators that will be used in our overflow pond while we're working on our Phase 2B process out at the plant. So we have to have these panels up and running. And we had two bids come in to replace them. One was from Aesthetic Electric, had the lower bid at $53,655. And a secondary bid from Van Deventer Engineering for $79,630. And that's a full-blown panel to run those pumps, pumps and aerators, sorry, as well as a 90-day or more warranty. The manufacturer warranties them for 1 year if they're installed appropriately. So, and that's going to take a little bit of time to get those, but it's kind of an urgent thing. So, let me tell you, if we don't have them running, we'll run into issues keeping our oxygen levels up in the ditches and keeping the bugs alive that keep the wastewater plant from being a treatment center and becoming a cesspool, and it won't smell nice. So, department's recommendation: the staff is asking for approval for the bid to be awarded to Aesthetic Electric in the amount of $53,655, of which we'll be pursuing FEMA reimbursement, so.
What was the difference in the bids? One was 79 and one was 53. Why such a big difference on that? Did they go into any detail?
I think with one company, that's just kind of a typical
They just go higher.
costs, yeah. They just run a little bit hotter than the others. Whereas this aesthetics probably, trying to get into the business a little bit better, so.
Did you notice if Vanderveer's had like a longer warranty for their product over this Aesthetic Electric?
No, when I reviewed them, it was pretty much.
Pretty much the
apples
same.
Apples, yep.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
All right. At this time, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the bid from Aesthetic Electric for the wastewater treatment plant.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion for the approval for the bid.
This time I'll call for the vote. Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
and Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Welcome.
Next up is I knew you wasn't going anywhere too soon. So next up is the airport fuel bid.
Thank you. So obviously out there, airport, they need to refuel up their avgas tank out there in the amount of 2,900 gallons for the municipal airport. Only one bid was received. We'd called several vendors trying to find someone that would deliver, and everyone's kind of dropped out of the race, I guess. So we are not stuck with, Nagler Oil of Springfield, Missouri, supplies all over Missouri and such. So the bid came in it was about $3.99 per gallon at 2,900 gallons for a total of $11,583.47. Failure to purchase this fuel could significantly cut down on our airport traffic usage for folks that do stop through, bless you, and fuel up. So, as well as our pilots that are housed out there, and Tyler Naramore, board president, who teaches flight lessons out there. So, staff recommends approval of the bid in the amount of $11,583.47.
This time, does the board have any questions? All right. Do I have a motion for the airport fuel bid?
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Nego Oil for the amount of $11,583.47 for aircraft fuel.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I'll call for the vote. Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
and Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
Next up is new and miscellaneous business. We have first up, Resolution 9-2025.
Resolution 9-2025, a resolution authorizing the City of Salem, Missouri to enter into a service agreement with Hometown Grid through the Missouri Electric Commission for software and outage reporting services.
Mayor and Alderman, so this item, we've been actually testing this system since December. And there is a board recommendation from the Utility Committee. This is for power outages for reporting citywide. Of course, you have the details in front of you, the costs. Staff's recommendation on the cost is to go with the option that breaks it up so that each year that we're doing this, it's more equitably spaced out so that we don't have fluctuations in what could relate to our rates, if it were so. I do want to add, though, in addition to the information before you, I know the city of Rolla, RMU, during their tornado recently, they have Hometown Grid, this service, and it has been a huge benefit to them. Because citizens were able to report outages and then get updates and feedback. It's been invaluable for them in reporting back to customers about what's going on, what progress they've made. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. And they, you know, as they've gone through various stages of their recovery, another thing that they've done is, you know, they'll get to a point where they think everything's cleared, and they'll put messages out to the public saying, if by chance you still don't have power and you're in this area, please report it again through here so that we know. So it's been a very useful tool. We hope we never have to use it in that situation, but you do these things for just in case. So I just wanted to add that piece because I thought it was very important and very timely. So I would stand for any questions if you have any.
I don't. They've been advertising since Rolla's been doing their cleanup for the last 2 weeks, and it's just been amazing the way that they explained how Hometown Grid works.
Yep.
So. This time, do I have a motion for resolution number 9-2025?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 9-2025.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
I'll call for the vote. Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
Next up is resolution 10-2025.
Resolution number 10-2025, a resolution approving a bid from All Inclusive Rec LLC for the tile removal and installation services and playground equipment repair.
Does the board have any questions for
No, I don't.
this time? Do I have a motion for resolution number 10-2025?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 10-2025 for City Park Playground cover.
I'll second the motion.
I'll call for the vote. Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
Next up is resolution number 11-2025.
Resolution number 11-2025, a resolution approving the bid from Aesthetics Electric for 2 wastewater treatment plant aerator power panel replacements.
Do I have a motion for resolution number 11-2025?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 11-2025.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
I will call for the vote. Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
Next item up is the CERCLO letter.
So- Yeah, this letter, we've heard quite a bit in the past and hearing more and more through certainly our federal delegation about PFAS. So this letter, this is about the legislation dealing with PFAS and requesting that, excuse me, that the responsibility for PFAS and any cleanup, the liability for it, be put on the actual producer of the PFAS and not the secondary distributors, which would be us, wastewater treatment plants. We didn't create it, but we get it by the nature of we treat sewage. And so we're not the producers of it. So it's asking that the actual responsibility and liability be put on the actual producers of it, not on those of us who are secondary. So that's what this letter's for. It is to go to our federal delegation. I would recommend if any of you feel so, please take this, copy it, put your own names on it. Let's send it to, this does need to go to Jason Smith. It certainly needs to go to others as well. But that's what this is about. If you've heard anything about PFAS and they haven't determined all of the regulations just yet, but the things that they are putting out there, they are talking about, any farm that distributes it could be considered a brownfield site. I mean, that's pretty alarming. And so, like I said, I think it's pretty important that we make sure that they hear us, that we're not the ones who created this problem. We shouldn't be held liable for it. I mean, that's going to put it on the backs of all small communities everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Do we need a motion for just the letter?
um,
To submit a letter?
probably not, but I thought it was important to put it on the agenda.
Okay. Is there any way to get like copies with each one of
Sure,
our board members?
I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up is the second reading for bill number 3649.
Bill number 3649, an ordinance amending the clean air sections of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Salem, Missouri.
Thank you.
Excuse me. So this pertains to the next three items, the next three ordinances. These are formerly the non-smoking ordinances. So these are the amendments that would create space for employees to smoke. I do believe that Mr. Moser reached out to everyone on the board with his concerns. So, I mean, again, I would stand for any questions that you might have.
All right. Start it off. First up, bill number 3649.
I move that we approve Bill number 3649.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I will call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
Next up is bill number 3650.
Bill number 3650, an ordinance amending the clean air sections of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Salem, Missouri.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for bill number 3650?
Make a motion to approve bill number 3650.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I will call for the vote. Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
and last but not least, bill number 3651.
Bill number 3651, an ordinance amending the clean air sections of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Salem, Missouri.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for bill number 3651?
I move that we approve Bill number 3651.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion to approve bill 3651.
I will call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
and Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
Next up will be the first and second reading for bill number 3652.
Bill number 3652, an ordinance authorizing approval of change order number 3 to the contract with Donald Magai Incorporated for the Salem Sidewalk Improvements Project, TAP 9901-520. Permission to read second reading by caption only.
Yes, please.
Bill number 3652, an ordinance authorizing approval of change order number 3 to the contract with Donald Magai Incorporated for the Salem Sidewalk Improvements Project, TAP 9901-520.
Sally, if you want-
Mayor and Board, so this change order is for a time extension only. The light poles and fixtures are scheduled to ship next week, so hopefully they're not on a slow boat from somewhere.
Yes.
They are made here in the USA, so we just don't know how long shipping's going to take. But this is to allow them time for installation of the poles and fixtures, as well as the final wrap-up there around the Bank of Salem. There will be another change order coming. We've had to deal with some drainage issues, so I don't know what that's going to look like just yet. I was speaking with MoDOT, Steve and I did earlier this afternoon. So, like I said, at this time, change order number 3 has no cost involved. It's simply a time extension.
Any questions? All right. Do I have a motion for bill number 3652?
I'll make a motion to approve Bill 3652 for a time extension only to Magat Construction.
I second that motion.
I will call for the vote. Alderman Whalen,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth.
Yes.
Next up is reports of city officials, boards, and committees. Ms. Burbridge, you're up first, ma'am.
Okay, so you do have in your packet my report on a couple of emergency purchases that we have had to make. The first one being the sewer line replacement on 8th Street. So that is underway. Will you be giving an update on that, Steve? Okay. So Steve will give you more details about that. The other one was for the fencing around the park that Melissa mentioned earlier. In addition to that, I just want to add, on the playground stuff, on the playground tiles, one of the other holdups, it's not just been getting it to you all for approval, but that can't be installed until the temperature is regularly above 40 degrees. So that has just recently started occurring, so, and I'm not sure we're fully there yet. But, so they can't do that installation until that point. So I know there've been a lot of questions in the public about why isn't the city doing anything? Because we couldn't yet. So just wanted to make sure and state that. And that is all I have at this point.
Next up is my report. Just keep it short. I wanted to thank all of our city staff that stepped up and donated and wanted to go and help out the city of Raw with their cleanup, the tornado event. I think that we were all very fortunate, and storm season hasn't even started yet, so just keep your fingers crossed. Other than that, I think I will move on to Ms. Stacy Houston for your report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Sorry, Stacy.
You're fine.
And go straight to pictures.
Yes. Okay, so this is an update on our sales tax revenue, and this is what we have collected through March. The overall sales tax revenues are up around 10% from the same time frame as last year. July through March, general fund sales tax has brought in just under 2.5 million, and this is the first full year of the additional 1% sales tax that was approved in April of 2023. Parks and Rec sales tax revenue brought in 473,000. With capital improvement, sales tax revenue has brought in around 630,000 for this fiscal year. Then for those who likes to look at graphs, to see the trends year to year, this graph shows fiscal years 22 through the current fiscal year. Okay. Okay, so this next slide is an overall look at the utility usage revenues through February. Year-to-date of this fiscal year, we have billed nearly 35 million kilowatt hours. That is down slightly compared to same time frame as last year. In terms of electric revenue, we have billed just over 4.7 million and have collected just over 4.4 million year-to-date. Purchase of power, that is what the city pays to MPUA to provide power to us. We paid out just under 3.1 million. That's a little bit less than what we did last year. Water consumption, we have billed just over 85.3 million gallons. That's up slightly compared to last year. Water revenues billed is around 567,000 and have collected 544,000 of water revenues year-to-date. On sewer consumption, we billed around 77.1 million gallons. That is down slightly compared to last year. With sewer revenues billed is at 890,000, and then sewer revenues collected year-to-date is around 842,000. Okay, then this page is a list of all of the funds the city has. It shows the activity in each fund for July through February. It shows the beginning balance of this fiscal year, which was July 1st, then the revenues and expenditures and any transfers between funds. Then the last column shows the ending balance in each fund as of February 28th, with a total all-fund balance comes to just over 13.7 million. Okay, next page. And then this last slide shows the total fund revenues and expenditures compared to what we have budgeted. And this is through the end of February. Through the end of February, we are at 67% of the fiscal year. Revenues and expenditures are tracking behind what we expected for this point in the budget year. That is mostly due to grant projects. The revenues and expenditures are low, but all projects have started or will be starting soon. So we'll start seeing some more grant revenues and expenditures. On revenues, we've collected 55% of the budgeted amounts, and then expenditures, we have spent 48% of the budgeted amounts. That's all I have. If you have any questions?
No.
No. It's a lot of numbers.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up is Mr. Payne. Come on up, sir.
Okay, so wastewater treatment plant, they're continuing to work on their FEMA reimbursement needs and their daily testing, as well as minor repairs on equipment. The water department repaired water service lines and a water main across the city, prepped a fire hydrant with a valve for replacement on 4th Street. I'm going to continue to try to get a fire hydrant rebuilt or a new one placed, replaced. I'm going to try monthly to get that done, and so we can make gains on this at a minimum. Our new water well, the one that we got the grant for, how much was that grant again? 3 million, 4 million?
3.8?
$3.8 million grant for the new well and water tower.
I should write all these down so you don't catch me off
Yeah,
guard.
I should write it down. Let me put that down. $3.8 million grant. That's amazing. So it's at 830 feet and of an estimated 1,000 feet that they'll be drilling for that new well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything continues to go well. They had to pull their equipment off due to a fire that was in the surrounding area and then get started again. So as far as the sewage main collapse on West 8th, Thomas excavation is approximately halfway done with 295, relaying 295 feet. And how they're doing it is they're going section at a time. So today they had to contend with 3 sewer line hookups, to private residences as well as a gas line. And then they're down about 14 feet down. So with our soil type, for safety reasons, they have to drag a box, shoring and make sure that everybody's safe. So, so far so good. I go over there and catch them, and professional, safe, looks like a great operation going on. So hopefully we'll have those 8th Street residents, West 8th, online again here soon. So the electric department, kudos to them, the line trimming crew. They were contacted, bless you, there's a large tree between City Hall here, and William Lynch Elementary. So you've got, I don't know what that storefront is. There's a lawyer's office right here. Anyway, so back behind there was a comm cable with a comm line with steel cable run across 2 of our power poles, and this tree had a massive branch that was laid on top of that and dragging both of our poles down that were hooked further to 3-phase, transformer banks. So it was really impressive to watch the tree trimming crew take down a massive tree as quickly as they did today. And then streets came in while they were doing citywide cleanup and scooped everything up. So all is well. They're really getting after it. So continued street light repairs and replacement to the tune of 30 lamps. We're looking at maybe purchasing more because we've run about through the stockpile, and we just hope that folks keep calling in. If you've got something, we put in a work order. Our crews are responsive and get after it. So hopefully that'll continue to get better. We
Steve,
also...
Sorry,
Yes,
can I interrupt briefly? My apologies. So that is a question for you all on the board. So we have, as Steve kind of mentioned, we have run through what we have budgeted for the LED streetlights. So if that's something that you all would like for us to continue and purchase more and get them on the way, I'm not sure what that lead time is. It's fairly lengthy. But it's either that or we're waiting until the next budget year. So that's kind of something I put before you all. If it's a priority for you, then we just need to know, you wouldn't formally approve it until we actually had bids. But I just wanted to put that out there, so.
What percentage have we got completed with this funding on lights? How, are we
Oh, I
got
would-
half of them done?
Oh, I would say we're at 85%. We've run
85?
through, yes.
So we've got a pretty small,
Yeah, left over. And the lamps are, this last batch were $138 a piece for the LEDs. And some of these they can repair. Sometimes it's just the dusk till dawn sensor on an old lamp. You know, I mean, obviously, if we're doing the bucket time and stuff, we'd like to replace them with LEDs, but with us approaching and trying to get another grant
Right.
to take care of all the streetlights.
So that was one of the grants that has been pulled back at this time. So the streetlight grant that we applied for a few months back, that grant has been pulled back at this time. So, because we had submitted the grant hoping we'd get funding to replace all the remaining incandescent lights. And so that's, like I said, been pulled back, so not an option.
Yeah, I'd probably encourage it because you've got two over on East Center where it's starting to look like the streets are, it's dark over there before you hit Carty Street. But I'll send all those to you, Stephen, in text.
Roger that. Appreciate it. We removed 2 old poles downtown here, one of which was concrete, that was part of the old, the project, we renewed the sidewalks. One of those was an old pole that was concrete and it looked like it was coming over anyway, and a steel pole there by Craig Plaza. The electric department came out at 2 a.m. to make that happen, to have less of an impact on daily operations for folks around town. So kudos to them for getting it knocked out. Construction crew has repaired the roof of the dirt shed at the cemetery. It was almost airlifted off due to our storm winds, and so they got the hurricane clips on there and got it all taken care of. So they built a 12 by 40 foot, 12 foot by 40 foot lean-to onto their shop to store their concrete forms, keep them out of the weather, and their skid steer. That had been a budget ask last year, and it was minimal cost material-wise, and they got that built. Looks real nice. So, street crews, they cleaned up the courthouse square and downtown area prior to the rally. They did a great job, and the rally, I think, went off, was a really nice event. They started the citywide cleanup yesterday, so they're moving around town. If folks want to bundle up your tree branches and put them out there and cut up your larger tree branches, we ask that nothing larger than a 4-inch diameter. You know, there's some homes around town that have some trees laying out by the road, and I don't know if I stop and knock and just let them know, or you know, it's I don't want to disturb anybody during the day like that. Like, hey, don't bother me, you know. So anyway, we're trying to pick that stuff up. We'll continue to put out some information, and they're just making their way around, and they'll probably the next week come around, scoop up what, you know, one final time, because folks, I think they forget about their pile, and the trucks go by and they're like, oh yeah, and then they drag everything out, and so we'll try to accommodate as much as possible. Started hauling rock from the quarry for various projects. They removed several down trees after the storm and other wind events that were in the roadways. Our street department took care of those. Helped the cemetery dig 3 graves. Continue painting new curbs on 4th Street to make those more visible. Our mechanics repaired, maintained multiple pieces of equipment citywide. He stays pretty busy, stays really busy. Worked several facility maintenance projects as well, and continued updating fleet vehicle decals in an effort. Some of them just slipped by and didn't have the new city logo on them. So cemetery crew, like I said, 3 grave sites, and they're continuing to clean up after wind events. We will have Ms. Heather Johnson has high school students coming out again on April 8th. That'll be great to help us fan out and do a walk through the graveyard and make sure it's cleaned up and ready. I'd just like to remind folks to give us a call and put in work orders if you need something, city-wise. And once again, things that get put out on social media, we don't catch it typically, you know. So I have heard some complaints about, I had a tree trimming complaint about, I've had a work order in 3 years ago. We did lose that tree trimming crew for a good period of time. And so we've got a list printed off and we're trying to play catch up and go, take care of those as much as possible. I just ask for everyone's patience because as much as we want to go in and knock your tree out, if it's the ground's soft, then we cause damage, then you're upset because you have tire tracks and we have to repair that, and it's just a whole thing. So we're trying to work with the weather. So, and I'd like to just really quick give Melissa kudos. I know I see a lot of what goes on, and the Parks Department's really taken a beating on the pool. The hail damage to the pool wasn't our fault. We worked through the vendors to get it fixed. It's going to be open this year. The playground, man, if we could have went out there and pulled all our crews together and put that together ourselves, we would have, but there's just no way. That's a specialized matting system for special needs kids to feel involved and be involved and be able to be out on that. So that's why it's so expensive, and I just hope the public could be patient with us while we get those things taken care of. It's not for a lack of wanting to make it better. So, anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay.
As always, thank you, Steve, for your detailed report. We probably don't thank you enough, but doing an awesome job.
I appreciate it. Thanks, folks.
You're welcome.
Melissa, you're up next.
I'm back. Good evening.
Good evening.
I just have a few things written down. First of all, I want to thank you guys and our administration for allowing crews from the city to go up there because it costs us money to go up there. I know that Dustin and I were in a truck ourselves and we ran 9 loads in a dumpster and we were in a 2-block span. And we had 5 trucks up there and we ran all day long and I felt like we didn't even make a dent. So Rolla needs a lot of assistance right now, and they have pulled together and they're getting a lot done, but there was just so much, and I don't think people realize just how much was damaged. Yeah. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But I appreciate you guys allowing us the tools that we needed to get up there and help a community next to us. I'm sorry, my notes are on my phone. We've been testing the city park ball field lights. I had called Musco. We had several lights out, and we've been trying to deal with them over the years. People thought that our fixtures were out, so I called them to see what their placements would be. But they called me back, and they let us know that they have giant fuse boxes about 10 feet off the ground, which we weren't aware of, and that we could go around and test all the fuses ourselves and replace those, and it would be way cheaper fix for that. So we found that there's several fuses that are out and some capacitors that need to be replaced, but we are working on those to get those up and ready. We checked the blue field too. Softball has a game today. Dawn did a great job getting the fields prepped for their first home game. I heard they won 15-0, so that's a great start. We hosted tennis in the park today also. I appreciate the High Holts. They came over with some kills. We had some vandalism overnight last night, some very inappropriate images and words, and they went ahead, took it upon themselves to kill the skate park, because that was one of the things that was hit. And then Ethan painted our park restroom for us quickly to get it out of sight, because we had a lot of people coming today. So I appreciate them jumping in and getting that taken care of today. Also, I want to thank the PD. They were there first thing in the morning and pulled the video off. And I've been sitting over here actually with people texting me names, and I've been sending them over to the PD. So hopefully we can catch the people. I'm extremely tired of this happening. I've been nice, and I'm no longer going to be nice. So when we find whoever it is, we are going to press charges. So it needs to stop. Prep the softball fields. Dawn's also been working on prepping the soccer fields. We have 5 soccer fields going again this year. I've been preparing lots of information for FEMA. We have a meeting once a week now with FEMA. We've been giving information, but apparently wasn't as detailed as it needed to be. It's very tedious work with FEMA. I appreciate Stacy. She's got a giant load already, and this FEMA work is adding a lot to her plate. So I greatly appreciate her working and doing all that. Summer ball registration is currently open now, so if you have kiddos that want to play t-ball, softball, baseball, it's 4U, which means 4 and under, all the way to 14. So registration is open now until April 16th. I'm working on reviewing applications and preparing soccer referees, because that's getting ready to start. We had red clay material delivered just yesterday, I believe, to repair the red and green fields. Before we put that new top dirt on, we have a lot of rocks to get rid of, because that flood just rippled and destroyed and brought all that bottom material up to the surface that we're gonna have to work to get rid of. If you looked in when you came, did you notice the new light switches here? Who turned the lights on here? Steve, did you notice the new light switches? Fancy. We had some new light switches installed in this building so that we don't always have to go up to the balcony to turn them off and on. So there's a switch up here, and there's a switch down there. So it's very convenient. I'm really excited about it. It's the little things, progress. And then construction ornamental for the park concession stand roof, and it'll be replaced soon. So that'll be looking much better, and I appreciate them working with me. And I don't have anything else, I don't think. Anybody have any questions for me?
I don't, just thank you for doing what you do, Melissa.
No, I appreciate it. I enjoy my job most days.
Well, hopefully during the next upcoming budget year, we can do a little bit more increased funding for more cameras.
I wrote that in, and I've
Okay.
actually been working with the PD. I've spoken
Yeah.
with them about the types of cameras to put in, because we want it to where that they can access them with a live feed, so
Yeah.
that we can just kind of nip it.
Get a better view of
Yeah.
who's doing our, yeah. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if
Yes.
I may, briefly, and I know Steve has said it, Melissa has said it, but I wanted to echo their sentiments and thanking those of you on the board, as well as all staff who volunteered to go help Rolla after the tornado. I think it's very important that we show that assistance and help to neighboring communities when they're in need, in hopes that, you know, if we're in a need that in the future, that we get some reciprocal help. So, like I said, I was very grateful for that, so thank you all.
And hopefully we'll continue that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is the board reports. Alderman Letchworth,
Nothing to report this time?
Alderwoman Dent,
I have nothing to report.
Alderman Whalen.
I just want to convey my sentiments. I was very proud of the city of Salem and how we responded in Rolla. It just shows the character of the city, and so thank you.
Well, last item up, we have closed session for personnel.
I move that we go into closed session for personnel.
Do you have a second?
I second that motion.
I will call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
Alderman Letchworth,
Yes.
Alderman Whalen.
Yes.
Thank you all for attending tonight.